All right, so let's just take a look at a couple of these and see if this helps, and then we can meet tomorrow to talk about any questions that you still have. Okay, so it's all based off the idea, like on number 1 here, like x squared equals 36. So to undo that, we've got to take the square root of both sides. So x equals the square root of 36. And one thing we talked about Friday was that anytime we take a square root of a number, you can either have a positive or a negative, right? So x could be 6 or x could be negative 6. And you could write it like that, or you can say x equals plus or minus 6. That's usually how you'll see me do it. Okay, so kind of basic when we just have one number on the other side. We add another layer when we go to one like number 3, where you have k plus 1 squared equals 9. And we've got to start by taking the square root of both sides. And then we have k plus 1 equals the square root of 9. And again, remember, the square root of 9 could be 3 or negative 3. And so I'm going to say k plus 1 equals 3, or k plus 1 equals negative 3. And then I solve each of these equations for k, and I'm going to end up with, and I'm going to end up with 2 answers here, right? So minus 1 from each side, and I have k equals 2, or minus 1, and I have k equals negative 4. So on this one, k could be 2, or k could be negative 4. Let's say we have one like number 19. On this one, I notice that I've got multiplication and I've got an exponent. Well, that exponent's only with the w, right? So I've got to start by dividing both sides by 36 so that we can work on isolating that variable. Now, you might notice when you go to type that in, you're going to get a really ugly number. I'm going to keep it as a fraction, and really I just did this because I'm looking at it and I notice right away 121 and 36 are both perfect squares. And so w squared equals 121 over 36. If I took the square root of that, then I'm going to end up with w equals the square root of 121 over the square root of 36. And I'm just going to go like this, plus or minus the square root of 121 over 36. This has to go all the way down. All right, and then another way to see this is the square root of 121 over the square root of 36, plus or minus. So then you end up with 11 over 6. And that could be positive 11 over 6 or negative 11 over 6. So I'm running out of space. I'm going to write that as w equals plus or minus 11 over 6. So that could be positive 11 over 6 or negative 11 over 6. Let's take one more of these, maybe one with the fraction, like number 47. All right, so we've got 1/16 y squared equals 81. So I want to get that y by itself. So my first step is going to be to multiply both sides by 16. And if I do 81 times 16, I get y squared equals 1296. And then I need to, take the square root of both sides, and I get an answer of 36. And it could be positive 36, or y could be negative 36. Again, if you took 36 squared or negative 36 squared, you would get that 1,296. All right, so that's kind of how those top ones work. Let's take a look at a couple on the bottom. Okay, let's take a look at a couple of these on the bottom side of the worksheet. So this one tells you to solve each equation by first factoring the perfect square trinomial. And it says hint, well, left side hint, do not set equal to 0. So what it means by that is a lot of times if we looked at a problem like this, number 51, the temptation would be to take 81 off both sides, right, to try to get this equal to 0. I'm going to follow that hint that says do not set it equal to 0 and see how this helps me. So if I'm just trying to factor this right here, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to get 64 and add to get negative 16. And I see right away that's negative 8 and negative 8. And so that means we're going to go y minus 8 times y minus 8 equals 81. All right, and then hopefully you're noticing we have y minus 8 times itself. So I could have just written that as y minus 8 squared equals 81. Well, now how would I undo that y minus 8 squared? Just like on the other side, take the square root of each side, and you get y minus 8 equals the square root of 81. So y minus 8 equals 9, or y minus 8 equals negative 9. And then we solve each of these for y. So I add 8, and I get y equals 17, or y equals negative 1. And then, of course, we could check it by plugging it back in, which we should do, but I'm not going to for sake of time, because this is going to get real long if we do that. So hopefully that will give you a little bit of a preview, and then tomorrow we can work together on this if you have more questions about it, okay? Thanks for watching.